Hello, welcome to Aerospace channel. Today I'm going to talk about aircraft accidents investigations, lessons learned from it, and mainly focusing on the global data access that every engineer can see. So let me start with my presentation. So the presentation is going to be organized into the contents as shown here. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about why investigations matter. We look at the ICAO ANNEX 13 methodology, which is kind of shown here as a chart. We look at few case studies, which are kind of the you can say landmark case studies, which which changed the regulations or kind of brought in a new way of working within the aviation, and mainly focusing on the kind of the lessons learned from the accidents, and finally focusing on the global data systems. What are all the different organizations or different aviation authorities data that is publicly available and engineers can access. So to set the tone for the rest of the video, the main purpose we kind of study the accident investigations and the information that you can take from is today approximately 90% of the accidents that would have occurred in the 1960s are now prevented. So how is that possible? So that is mainly because of the rigorous methodology that has been followed in studying the accidents that have happened in the past and the lessons learned from it, and improving the regulation, improving the maintenance practices, or various safety methods in place. So this is the ICAO Annex 13 at glance, which kind of tells how an accident investigation should take place once it is reported. What are the different steps that every national authority should take or should follow? So first, talking about why these investigations matter, and so so in my opinion, and in fact that's what is proven in the history, is that the accident investigations is the foundation of the aviation safety that is unparalleled at the moment. So aviation is the safest mode of transport by the statistics. So what are the main topics or main points that accident investigations have kind of brought forward? So what they do is, first thing is obviously they identify the root cause. So the accidents kind of occur through a chain of events. So root cause means it is not just one root cause that might cause accident, but a chain of events, which are more likely like a sequence of failures across human performance, mechanical systems, organizational process, and environmental conditions. Sometimes kind of mix of them as well. So the accident investigation is mainly to focus on the root cause and then prevent the recurrence. So by coming up with a safety recommendations, which are specific actionable directives issued to regulators or airlines, manufacturers, or training organizations, or anybody that could be involved within the ecosystem of the aviation. So by doing that recommendations, the idea is to prevent happening the same type of accident or similar accident happening. The other important point is to build a safety culture. So aviation has been kind of very proactive in the reporting system, so that uh, anybody within the whole ecosystem can report any occurrence, so that the regulators can take action. So what do you mean by safety culture? Safety culture means that creating an environment where pilots, engineers, air traffic controllers, or dispatchers can report errors, mistakes, or near misses without fear of punishment. So the idea is not to blame anybody or point out where the errors are, but to learn from whatever potential mistakes that could happen if that was not noticed, for example, and then prevent it from happening again. And by all this, obviously, the idea is to improve the regulations. So, International Civil Aviation Authority, organization, EASA, FAA, or any other national aviation authority continuously revise their standards based on what investigations reveal. Just historical context of where we are today is that the global aviation, the safety that we see is mainly because of the initially it started with the Chicago Convention in 1944, where the ICAO was formed and the international aviation standards are reinforced. And at this point of time, there are about 193 countries that have signed up with the ICAO. What it means is every country that signs up, has to respect those regulations and implement these regulations as a standard, so that the aviation, when the flight goes from one country to another country, both of them are following the same standards. Then in 1951, ICAO 13 was published, which was mainly focusing on the accident investigation, how that is kind of implemented. We'll look at that a little bit detailing later. So after implementation of this, so since 1960s, the fatal accident rate per million departures has fallen by more than 80% to date. So one of the main reasons, as I said earlier, is that the investigations are the primary driver for this extraordinary achievement. Then next slide, I'm going to talk about the ICAO Annex 13, the methodology. So I'll also want to look at the website as well. So these annexes are not openly available or publicly available for us. You need to pay and obtain those documents, but you can have a look at the contents, from other sources, or just the details. So what they contain, the investigation methodology focuses on these important points. So first of all, somebody notifies it, and then the site investigation, how it needs to be carried out, how the analysis needs to be done, and then how to identify the contributing factors and come up with the safety recommendations and final report. So these are basically kind of the overall archiving, or the flow of the accident investigation that a national authority need to take into account. I'm not expert on this matter, but I'm just trying to point out the documentation that is out there. The main evidence sources that this ICAO document refers to are these, which are flight data recorder, cockpit voice recorder, air traffic control recordings, meteorological data, maintenance records, and many other data as it is required. So when we look at some of the accident investigations, then these things will be a bit more clear. So these are some of the landmark accidents that kind of changed the course of aviation in some way. One of them was the Tenerife airport disaster where two flights kind of collided head-on on the runway due to lack of standard radio terminology, you could say, which sounds very silly now, but at that point of time, that was the reason for that accident. So there are other accidents that are listed here. Feel free to pause the video and kind of spend more time on that, because the purpose of this video is to show actually how to access the data rather than talking about it. So here is the summary of the systematic safety improvements that have occurred of the accident investigations. So what are the lessons learned from it, for example? So a summary of various lessons that are learned. Again, feel free to pause here and read through it, and do your own research on individual topics to get more information on what particular accident caused that particular recommendation. What I mainly wanted to focus on this video, on the main takeaway, is to how to access the data. So engineers may or may not be aware. So this video is mainly to focus or direct them to these links, and I will just run around or show few, open these websites and kind of have a navigation through, and to give you an idea of how information is organized. So I'll start off with the ICAO safety and accident investigation web page itself. So if I go there, actually that was Annex 3, Annex 13 that I was talking about. So when I come to ICAO, so this is the main website for the accident section, and you can see here, it has different. Have a look at it, and obviously the Annex 13 is something that will be available within the resources and ICAO e-library, as I said earlier. The other important thing that I wanted to show here is the kind of the related links to various aviation bodies across the globe, such as the NTSB in the United States, or accident investigation branch in the UK. Similarly, accident investigation branch in India, China, and many other countries, as you can see here. So ICAO has some documentation that is publicly available, and some of them are not available, but you can get quite a lot of information by kind of reading through the ICAO, because this is a global standard right at the top of the pyramid, which kind of flows down to individual nations. Now, going back to the presentation and starting off with the IATA. So this is another global organization, um, which also kind of gives or publishes a lot of information about the safety of the aviation across the globe. So here, as you can see, so safety, about earlier, how the aviation safety by far better than the many other modes of transport is explained here, like approximately how many flights are taken in each year, and various data for this. So what I would quite quickly go through here or show here is the IATA annual safety report, and kind of the references here. So you can see that every year this organization publishes the safety reports. So you can see kind of for every year they are there, and you can look at it and see the data behind the claim that I was telling, that aviation is the safest mode of transport, for example. The main important one, and personally I have learned a lot, is from the FAA website. So the FAA has a particular web page called the Lessons Learned, and where kind of they summarize quite a lot of accidents, and the information that we can take it from here. So here I would like to quickly show or point out to the Tenerife accident that I was talking about earlier. So as I showed earlier, that one of the accident was that. So I want to go to the dashboard. Yeah, transport airplane accident library. So if I go to the individual library there, so that's the all the lessons learned there. So the particular one that I was wanted to show was the Tenerife accident. So if I click on that, so the lessons learned is basically the summary of the accident investigation reports that has happened in the background, and FAA kind of very nicely summarized the outcome. So as you can see here, here are the various topics that they present here, and most importantly is the what is the accident kind of of the accident, and what is the lessons. So there would be recommendations as well. So if I expand that, so let us see what were the recommendations. So these are these accident board recommendations there. So as I said, one of the main recommendation was use of standard, concise, and unequivocal aeronautical language. So it sounds very stupid now, but at those point of time, it was not there. That was the reason, 500 odd people died at that particular time, which is very sad. So this is has been summarized and very nicely presented for very quick reference, and also to learn a lot from them. The other data that are available, which are not government owned, are very well are authorized sources, I would say, is one of them is the Skybrary. So which got a lot of information about various topics, but I'll not go there. Feel free to open yourself and have a look. And then aviation safety website is also has a lot of accident data, database accidents. Flight safety also has got quite a lot of data. But the one that I would like to show, because this is the most comprehensive one that I have come across, is the ASRS database. So let me go there. As I think before we go into this one, I would like to just show kind of the claim that description of this particular website. So this database is the world's largest repository of confidential safety information provided by aviation frontline personnel, including pilots, controllers, mechanics, flight attendants, and dispatchers. So it's database of any accident or any incident that might occur across the world. So the search here is like very comprehensive, as you can see here. What you could do is you could just pick up a model and select any particular aircraft. So here I would just say, let's say I want to have a look at the um, Boeing 737, for example. Not sure to do that. So maybe I can pick up any particular aircraft, add that, save it. And then if I run the search, it will give me the, so as you can see here, it has given me 1216 reports. So if I just click on that and just see what are the recent ones that have happened, some of them may be very minor incidents that might have happened somewhere in the world. So the recent one is in 2025 October, where it has happened in US, and what is the aircraft that has happened, what was the reason for the accident, because it was malfunctioning of the autopilot, and the component that was affected here because of the malfunctioning of the horizontal stabilizer trim, and a brief malfunctioning flight queue disconnected autopilot flew to the destination. So it was not any serious incident or nothing happened there, but there was some which could have potentially led to a safety. One particular aircraft, there were so many. So this is a very big database of all the incidents that happened around the world and reported. So these are the various websites that contain the data, and in terms of kind of what type of accidents or where it happened. But more importantly, the accident investigation reports and the safety recommendations and all, they are captured in a comprehensive reports. And here is the list of websites which provide that. So now I'm gonna look at uh, like each website and then see show you how the data is presented, and you can access that. So here, looking at the NTSB data, I want to look at the Aloha accident 243, which is the uh, one of the main accident that drove the fatigue and damage tolerance regulation for the widespread fatigue damage concerns. So here is the that is the so that result, that website search gave me the results of these documents, and if I click the select one, it directly takes me to a particular. It took me to that docket number and that docket report and various recommendations and other data. So the docket itself will have quite a lot of information, wherein, okay, it has not been, for some reason that docket is not visible there. But let me show you the accident investigation report, which is a very comprehensive one. And as is the case with any other accident investigation report. So here is the summary of the aircraft, and so it's quite a big document of 264 pages, and it goes these contents. So what is the factual information, what is the analysis, and what are the conclusions from that, and what are the recommendations and various supporting information. So obviously, what we will be interested is to know the probable causes. So we'll go to that page and see if we can quickly show you what would be the probable causes of the accident. So, that particular aircraft accident was because of the significant disbonding and fatigue damage, which led to failure of the lap joint at that particular location. Contributing to the accident was, various things. So it will give you, it summarizes the root causes, not one or two, but quite a lot of them, as you can see here. So every recommendation has got its own unique ID. And following these recommendations, the regulatory authorities kind of come up with a changes to the regulations or amendments. So that's what I wanted to show in the NTSB website, and you could do the same thing for any other aircraft investigation. So if you have any further details, you can look at here and get the detailed reports of the accident investigation. Now let us look at the UK one. So UK air accident investigation branch report, for example, it is at the moment it has 11,300 odd reports, and the very recent one is being the something that has happened very recently last year, 2025, and just clicking on any one of the report, and looking at the actual report itself. So depending upon the nature of the accident and type of accident and whether it is a preliminary report or a final report, the size of the report could be different. So this particular one is 8 pages, and what has happened is, so let's see what is the synopsis of this. So the crew did not notice this takeoff roll until it was identified by the system. So I don't think it was any serious accident or anything, but you that this is a type of this is a kind of typical report format. So what is the safety action that has taken as a result of that particular accident? Look at one more, just picking up any other one. So let's see, this is a failure basically. Okay, failure of a rotor. It was identified post-flight maintenance check. Let's see what it's to do with a structural failure. So probably it could be a detailed report. Yeah, probably. So it is a nature of damage is a bearing failure. It was not during the flight, but it was found during a manufacturing inspection. And because it was reported to the authorities, obviously they carry out an accident and they come up with they study it and what would be the impact. And as you can see, the document has got quite a lot of the structural details of that particular bearing. Looks like so the damage marks are there. And let me quickly go to the summary and see what was the probable cause of uh, the cracking or the bearing failure and the safety recommendation. So the extent was done. So probably I think there was another accident here. It was happened previously. That's what it says here. So there were quite a lot of safety recommendations that were so to monitor the one of them I just noticed here is the to monitor the vibration levels of that because it could be a kind of a fatigue issue or a fitting issue or some sort of failure like that. So I'll not go into the details for the purpose of time because this video has already exceeded 20 minutes. So there are safety recommendations as you can see here. Now the other website that I wanted to have a quick look is at the accident investigation branch of India as well. So let me open that, and you could see here the accidents and preliminary reports, and the detailed investigations that would have reports that the Indian Air Accidents Investigation Branch produce. So what is the accident and same, it has the same thing, factual information, analysis, conclusion, what was the probable cause of accident, what is the safety recommendation. So the format of the reports is what I wanted to mainly focus on. And similarly, you could have a look at the China website, and for that matter, you could search for any particular nation's accident investigation branch and look up or see the reports that they have published. So a closing remark for this particular video is that every ICAO contracting state is legally obliged under the Annex 13 to investigate accidents and publish findings openly through global systems like what we have seen. One of them being the NTSB database and the Aviation Safety Network and various other platforms. So for engineers and operators, this is not a background reading. Like, don't see that okay, there is information that is available that I could read whenever I want to, but it is more of a professional duty. So I encourage all the young engineers out there and anybody who is pursuing a kind of a serious career in aviation to allocate a particular time each week to study these accident investigations, lessons learned, understand how the regulations are changed, amended over the last few decades. This data exists because people died and it was made public so that others would not have to. So that's the takeaway. And using it is least that industry kind of we can do for that. So with that closing remark, that's all I wanted to show in this video. And thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe and encourage making us more videos. So we have two channels. One is the Aeroshift channel itself for the detailed explanation as like this video, and if you are a fan of short content, then check out our Aeroshift Pravaha website. Thank you for watching.